You know, the funny thing is when it comes to training, most companies don't realize that it's the single best investment a company can make when done properly. You see, with the data that we have at LightSpeed VT, I can see millions of people using the system. I can see thousands of companies using the system. And what's ironic is it shows beyond a shadow of a doubt that the number one employees train the most successful teams, the most successful companies, the most successful business executives train the most, learn the most. And the problem with training nowadays is everybody's kind of jaded on training. People don't value training like they should. I mean, you got managers who don't even go through the training that their employees go through, which means you can't have accountability unless the managers go through the same training. How are you supposed to determine whether or not this individual that you're paid to manage is actually executing the training or the techniques taught in that training if you didn't take the training? Because it's crazy. Like, I see companies that will go in and they'll train the frontline staff, but they won't train the managers because, they're managers, so they don't have to train. Or they have different training. And what doesn't make any sense is when you train effectively, it's the single highest ROI you can have, period. You spend $1,000 on training, you'll get more return on that $1,000 than any $1,000 you've ever spent. And I don't really care what the analogy is or what the comparison is. Training has the single highest ROI when done effectively, when done correctly. Because see, people won't do it correctly. They'll go in and train the front line and not train the managers. They won't hold people accountable. They won't literally force them to train. And what's crazy is these business owners and these company owners, it makes no sense to me. They've spent all this time and money developing their brand, building their business, and yet someone can walk in and bitch about training, and then they don't want to hear the bitching, so they just don't make them train. When that's the number one thing these companies are trying to accomplish. 90% of the time, these companies are trying to make more money, get their customer service up, be more profitable, expand, grow, get more accounts, but yet they don't train the people to do it. And even if they do train the people to do it, they don't do it effectively. They don't provide enough repetition. They think someone went through a training course or a training module one time and that means they're trained. That doesn't mean they're trained. That means they went through it one time. That means they were exposed. I mean, you can't just expose people to information and expect them to take it, absorb it, retain it, and use it. Training takes repetition. Training takes accountability. You actually have to hold them accountable to what it is you expect them to do. You can't just say, sit down here and watch this video and then boom, he's trained or she's trained, now go do the job, and then forget what it is that you told them to do or not hold them accountable or not inspect what you expect. It's ridiculous. So many companies spend so much money advertising to get people in the door, but they don't spend any money training their employees to take care of those customers. We've tested it. We've seen the difference. I've seen people spend $50,000 on an advertisement to get people in the door with no preparation and no training or no effective training. And another company that spent $40,000 on advertising, $10,000 on training, and the people that spent $40,000 on advertising and $10,000 on training had increased sales, increased conversion, increased results, higher customer satisfaction. Why? Why can you spend the same amount of money and make more? It boils down to training. We've tested it. It just amazes me how these companies are looking for customers. They're looking for profitability. They're looking for growth. They're looking for new deals, but yet they refuse to train. There's so many companies that don't train at all. It blows my mind. But the funniest thing are the companies that actually train, but they don't realize they're training ineffectively. These companies think they have a training program, and they have these companies think they have a training program, and in reality, they have an information program. They have a program where they expose all of their people to information. They spend $1 million training, and they say, boom, check the mark the box. We train people. When in reality, they're not training anybody. They're exposing people, and it doesn't work. And then guess what they do? They either blow more money on training that isn't training, or they start not training because it didn't work. That's like going to the doctor, getting a shot next to your arm, and then saying the medicine didn't work. That's like going to the gym and not working out and saying working out doesn't work. You have to actually train and train correctly for it to work. And it just blows my mind because most companies, their number one goal is to have a better product, have more sales, grow their business, grow their revenue, have happier customers, have happier employees, less turnover, less headache, less lawsuits. All of them want all of those things, and every single one of those things across the board, guaranteed, no freaking doubt about it, is mostly affected by their ability to train. It's most affected by their ability to train people effectively. And it's a tragedy, really, because there's managers out there that don't value training. There's companies that spend millions of dollars getting people in the door and very little money, if any, training people how to take care of those people. And I mean really training those people, training them to where it actually works. Watching videos doesn't work. I watch a lot of mixed martial arts. It doesn't make me a damn black belt, okay? I watch a lot of golf. Trust me, it doesn't make me a golfer. You can't just watch a few videos and consider somebody trained. Training is a process. Training effectively is uncomfortable. Training properly is uncomfortable. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. So everybody wants to say, oh, I want all this money and I want all this success and I want all this, growth, but they're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to train effectively. They don't even realize they're not training effectively. There's companies out there that spend millions of dollars a year training their people, and they're not even training their people. Now, if you look at the companies that are training people effectively, they're the number one companies in the world. You look at the athletes that are being trained effectively, and they're the top athletes in the world. You look at the top sales professionals, you look at the top employees, you look at the top managers, you look at the top companies, you look at the top of anything, the top astronauts. Anybody that's at the top of their game are the ones that actually train the most and trained effectively. It's unbelievable. Blows my mind. But hey, what do I know?